walking and talking to the residents of the 33rd Congressional District. And let me kind of give everyone a pictorial outlook of what the 33rd Congressional District is. It's West Dallas. It's Arcadia Park. It's Webb Chapel and Lombardi. It's South Irving. It's South Fort Worth. It's Love Field. Some of the poorest communities in the entire Metroplex. When we go talking to people, they don't talk about global pictures. They talk about, you know what, my streets are not fixed. I don't have any curbs. When it rains, it gets inundated. We have issues of flooding. We have, you know, our children graduate from high school. They don't go to college. What jobs will they have? So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to Washington to legislate. I'm going to go to Washington to bring back the resources that we have not gotten for 10 years. The congressional district used to be Republican. Pete Sessions had $287 million. Of that $287 million, if you look at the earmarks that came back into our community, which is now the 33rd Congressional District, got less than $17 million in programs. That's going to change. We're going to bring programs for senior citizens. Our senior citizens should be able to have the same programs that they have in North Haven. People who live in Arcadia Park and who live in West Dallas should have the same streets that you have on North Haven and Royal and Marsh Lane. Businesses should have the same access to capital as the Korean community and the Anglo community. We need to be able to make sure that our teachers have the resources so that they teach our children, but we can't just teach them inside the school. We have to have collateral programs such as tutoring and other programs. What I'm going to do in Washington, I'm going to bring the money into the 33rd Congressional District, and I'm going to convince corporate America that it's time to reinvest and have reciprocity in our community. We spend on you, you invest in us. If you look at the history of development here in Dallas, if you look at Little Mexico and you saw the development that was going on there was no Latino development participation. You had non-Latinos coming in, buying our properties, buying out our communities, developing and becoming millionaires. If you look at West Dallas, you look at development that excludes Latino developers. If you look at all the areas where there's been development, we've been excluded from the process. We've been excluded from the process because of the good old boy system. We've been excluded from the process because we don't have the bonding pool program for contractors to be able to become the prime contractor instead of being the subcontractor. I would work to create a pool program for bonding so that small and medium-sized businesses can compete for some of those contracts and would not be limited to the bonding requirements, but they would be able to go to XYZ bonding, be able to get that, then be able to compete as a prime rather than a sub. I would create a loan investment program where I would get government funding in corporate America to deposit hundreds of millions of dollars in local banking institutions. They would waive their interest. That interest would be utilized to offset the interest increase of small business loans to businesses. Rather than a 5% loan, they'd get a 1% loan. That would be able to allow that business to save money over a period of time, have access to capital, be able to make the loan payment, and then grow his business and grow the community. The other thing I would use my influence to corporate America and say, hey, it's time. We need to be part of the process. We need to be at your table. We need to have some of the resources. This election is not going to be bought. It's going to be earned, and I'm going to go out and earn this election. We have, I'd like to point out that we have the two millionaires and the front runner, according to Gromer's Jeffers, who are not here today participating in this debate. So I think that everybody should recognize that those are not the individuals that we need to send to Washington. The second thing is that, you know, I'm not endorsed by any regular Democrat. I'm not endorsed by Royce West. I don't have any baggage or any phone calls that's going to come in the middle of the night and say, Quintanilla, you know, you have to vote on this. I'm not supported by Martin Frost, and so I'm not indebted to his political machine. I think we need to send someone that's going to be indebted to the community that he serves, and that is going to be the spokesperson for the many problems that our community faces. And so I think that when you get to Washington, D.C., and they look at the candidate from the 33rd Congressional District, they're gonna say, that guy doesn't belong to Royce West. That guy does not belong to Martin Frost. That guy does not belong to Tom DeLay. That guy belongs to the citizens and the residents of the 33rd Congressional District. So I will be able to go to someone and say, let me educate you on comprehensive immigration reform. If we have 11 million undocumented individuals and they each pay $3 million, how much money will that generate? If you have 11 million and they buy homes, how much money will that generate? If you have 11 million, if they buy cars, how much money will that generate? And we begin to send a positive message of the many contributions that we have made as Hispanics and begin to have them listen to us instead of going with a Democratic or Republican agenda. So I'm gonna be the Democrat for all the citizens. I'm not gonna be anybody's Democrat but yours. Thank you. I think that I'm the only one here in this table that was involved in Irving when Steve Jones wanted to pass an ordinance in the Irving Independent School District to eliminate bilingual education. And I didn't see anybody here going to Irving and saying, hey, you know, well, that's wrong. So what I did is I fought to make sure that we brought it to the news. We invited parents to come. We took 75 parents and we had students talk about bilingual education. We had parents talk about bilingual educations. We had someone like Krista Castañeda, who was Anglo and was married to a Hispanic, talking about the importance of bilingual education. We actually forced the issue. We said you cannot eliminate bilingual education when in Farmers Branch it's 80% of the school population, or in Dallas or Irving or anywhere else, or we're the majority population. You eliminate bilingual education, you are creating some serious problems for the future of our children, and we got to fight to make sure that that doesn't happen. We got to fight, fight, fight.
Next.
I think
not
that,
me.
Well, not you. Okay, well, there's an exception. So I think that there has to be some kind of limits as to whether you become a career politician or you become a politician that becomes the representative of the people. I think that in my case, you know, I'm not going to go to Congress to be a congressman for the next 20 years. I'm going to go to Congress to bring change, to bring a voice to our community. The people will decide whether or not I do my job. 2 years from now, they'll have the same opportunity to either vote me up or vote me down. But, you know, to be in office for 30 years or 17 years, and that's a long time. I don't want to be a congressman forever. I want to open up the doors to other people. I want to have new leadership. We need to have young faces. We have to have new ideas. And I think that when you don't have term limits, you basically create the dynasties, and we've been subjected to that in our community, and that needs a change.
Okay, let's take